the next video, and then we're going to make our way over to the left side of media.
Brand new information blowing a huge hole in the Washington Post reporting of a double tap strike on a suspected narco boat in the Caribbean. Navy Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley telling lawmakers that there was no kill them all order from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth in the September 2nd attack that killed 2 suspected drug boat traffickers. And ABC News now reporting those survivors were actually trying to salvage the drugs. And Senator Tom Cotton, who saw the video with his own eyes, backs up that account.
Really? Okay.
I saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs down for the United States, back over so they could stay in the fight. And potentially, given all the context we heard, of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover their cargo and recover those narco-terrorists.
And Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, who was in the room for Admiral Bradley's testimony, even he admits that the second strike was indeed on drug traffickers.
Gotcha.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. The United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but attacking shipwrecked sailors. Yes, they were carrying drugs. They were not in the position to continue their mission. The last thing I'm going to say is that the Admiral confirmed.
All right, and a shout out to my man, Dead Man Lives. He says, "Set, do the difference between California versus Ohio prices." Oh man, Dead Man, that is probably the most gruesome one. I almost wish you picked I would say this, a more affordable blue state. Because when you go right to it and when you go to affordability, and this comes from mylifeelsewhere.com. I mean, you can go ahead and fact check these guys and all that. It's a really good website when it comes to comparing city to city, state to state, even country to country. You can even compare the affordability between the US and, I don't know, a country out there in Africa like Ethiopia. So, yeah. Now, look right here. California is 34% more expensive than Ohio. 34%. So you'll be paying 26%, well, not 26, but 24% more in California for restaurants. 27.9, basically 28% more in groceries in California. So if I'm shopping for groceries, right, and you're telling me if I'm paying $1 for a random item there, they're going to be paying like $1.30. Maybe 170, like something around there. You're telling me they're always going to be paying 30% more than me when I go to the grocery store. Transportation. They pay 11% more in transportation. That could be bus fees, train fees, gas, all that. They will be paying 11% more. Housing, I mean, of course, housing is up 67.5%. You will pay 67.5 more percent if you were to come from my state of Ohio to California. You literally be screwing yourself as an Ohioan. Literally be screwing yourself. You're going to pay more across the board. So hopefully your income went up at least 80% to live in California, because you'll be paying 34% more. So you don't want to go over there and put yourself in a deficit now. But all right. And then guys, if you want to compare more states, please let me know. I'm looking out for only, either the members or your average viewers, like, your casual ones. Appreciate the support.
Be more thrilled that Democrats, Republicans alike, and President Trump is doing this. I hope they do it even more. What I think it does is it gives kids who feel left out, who feel left behind, who feel divorced from the American dream. More Americans today feel that the American dream is out of reach for their kids, and even their kids feel that way. We've got to keep people not only involved, but invested in believing they can be owners. And this is one way to do it. 2, I agree with you about 100% on what you just said. I think that Democrats are right to talk about affordability, and I'm concerned that President Trump doesn't understand how serious this.
Nah, Cap, that's actually reasonable. Like salvage boats in the middle of the ocean. Like I said, these guys could have been desperate. They could have been desperate. They could have been like, God damn, they blew the boat a little. If we don't get over here, they execute my family. Remember, they were saying that either these guys are cartel members, these guys are civilians who are being coerced into this, who are being blackmailed or forced through, the threat of their family. You never know. You never know, guys. You never know.
Issue is. Now, maybe he's playing politics with it at the moment. This reminds me of
when
we around this table often and correctly talked last year and a half ago about the importance, the power of the issue of the border. When Democrats, including Joe Biden, were saying, we have it under control. When the Secretary of Homeland Security said, there's no problem here, we often around this table were critical of them. I've said for a long time, politicians who ignore voters, who believe they know what's best for voters or believe that the numbers show that voters are living a better life than they are, those politicians end up at home. The last election just a few weeks ago showed us that people are concerned about this issue. And even the Tennessee congressional race, although the Democrat didn't win, that race probably should not have been as close as it was. And I think it was because of affordability. The only message I have for President Trump is what Jesse just said. You got to get out and give answers, because if you believe you can say just wait and wait and wait, people will wait, but your party will lose. I think the winners in this whole thing, Greg, are the voters, the American public, because if Republicans start focusing on affordability and Democrats, you got to hope that they're able to create a set of outcomes that improve the lives of every American.
Well, since you brought up immigration, I think there's
the scary part is I don't think Democrats want to fix affordability because they found out they can blame it on Trump. And this is the scary part about being able to blame things on Trump, is that the Democrats won't fix what they can blame on Trump, and that's effed up. I mean, if they can blame crime on Trump like they do, they won't fix crime. If they can blame affordability on Trump, what they do, they won't fix affordability. Why? Because that's something to run on, and that's something they can blame Trump. So that's the scary thing about the Democrat Party, is that they won't fix what they can blame Trump on. And that's sad. Because think about it, they complain about affordability, and has affordability gotten any better? No, but they're still bitching about it. And the thing is, their states and their cities are the worst when it comes to it. But hey, as long as they can blame it on Trump, they don't got to fix it. And this is what the Democrat base needs to start doing. You need to start actually holding these guys accountable for that.
Information blowing a huge hole in the Washington Post reporting of a double tap strike on a suspected narco boat in the Caribbean. Navy Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley telling lawmakers that there was no kill them all order from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth in the September 2nd attack that killed 2 suspected drug boat traffickers. And ABC News now reporting those survivors were actually trying to salvage the drugs. And Senator Tom Cotton, who saw the video with his own eyes, backs up that account.
I saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs down for the United States, back over, so they could stay in the fight.
This guy to us.
And potentially, given all the context we heard of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover their cargo and recover those narco-terrorists.
And Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, who was in the room for Admiral Bradley's testimony, even he admits that the second strike was indeed on drug traffickers.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. The United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but attacking shipwrecked sailors. Now, yes, they were carrying drugs. They were
shipwrecked sailors is hilarious, bro. I'm sorry, but that is too funny. They went from narco terrorists to when you blow their boat up, now they are shipwrecked sailors, as if I don't know, they're the guys in the Titanic or something. Like, this is hilarious, honestly. It's like, you seriously try to call them shipwrecked sailors after we blow up their boats, but while their boat's still intact, they're narco terrorists or they're drug smugglers. But when we blow the boat up, now they're shipwrecked sailors, and now it just sounds so fucked up to blow them up now because they're just shipwrecked sailors, guys.
We're not in the position to continue their mission. The last thing I'm going to say is that the Admiral confirmed that there had not been a kill them all order, and that there was not an order to grant no quarter.
So does it exonerate Hegseth?
Okay.
Greg, knowing all of this now, it gives me an understanding of.
I ain't gonna lie, it does seem like that guy was just playing for his side. So as much as I want to sit there and say, oh, Hegseth is all good, look, man, when a Democrat comes out and say, hey, look, this looks like we're overreacting, sure, I'll give it to him. Sorry, but we do kind of gotta bet it on that.
When Bradley was walking into the Capitol this morning, he looked very confident.
This guy, douchebag. Yeah, shipwrecked sailors.
Literally.
They're narco terrorists, you bonehead. That guy had to roll back everything he said. And while he was rolling it back, he still kept digging a grave. What an idiot. I love watching people who were suddenly experts at war crimes because they have like Grok or AI. You got to remember, what were these people experts at before, right? Climate. They were experts at that, lecturing us on climate, gender, race, presidential competence. They built by corrupting the media industry, they built this house where they have no credibility for the future, especially this story. It's like, it was so on the nose. Like 6 Democrats release a video suggesting that there could be possibly an illegal military action coming soon. And then just like magic, you get this story, just appears. This is too engineered to be real. It's like a boss coming up to you and saying, I wouldn't buy a new car if I were you, because he knows you're not getting a raise. This is it's almost unbelievable how stupid they think we are. And yet they keep pulling these hoaxes over and over again.
It does show, Kennedy, that if you have a big blockbuster story with one anonymous source, like maybe take a beat before you comment on it.
Well, the problem is, and this is what often happens, is they can easily be proven wrong. And, you know, what they didn't realize was everyone who had seen the footage corroborated what the admiral is testifying before Congress. That, you know, yes, there were survivors, and they were obviously, you know, their lives depend on whether or not they get the drugs from point A to point B. But I think we're getting distracted by this. I think this is one of these stories where we're getting so distracted in the hair splitting that we're losing sight of the bigger picture. And the bigger picture should be, is this really the best way to combat narco-terrorism? And, you know, I will continue to argue that the best way to do that is to reduce demand in this country. And we don't talk about
Reduce demand, bro. They killed me with this one. Reduce demand in the country. Now, look, that still doesn't handle the supply. And there's always going to be a demand if there's a supply. If you take out the supply, that kills all demand. Trying to kill demand is almost impossible because there's new drug addicts every day. There's new people having, babies off drugs. Like, kind of tackling demand is almost pointless. Tackling the supply, that kills all demand. If there is no supply, there is no demand. If there's a demand, there's still a supply. I mean, so sadly, when you take out the supply, the demand can't exist. But if you take out the demand, well, I'm be real with you, it's really hard to take out demand. And we haven't been working on that forever. I mean, all the drug programs we got and all that, we don't put enough money into. We don't really care about these drug addicts. We're just trying to make a buck off them. So please tell us how handling this is going to help. Please tell us how handling the demand is going to help, because I'm sorry, because every time when you take out the supply, the demand usually follows.
about that enough. We don't talk about it with our kids. We don't admit that people have a massive appetite for drugs in this country. And even if we're blowing the living crap out of boats in the Caribbean, they will find another way. It is incredibly lucrative. These are multi-billion-dollar agencies. These are not just cartel families that we saw in Narcos.
And I mean, here's the thing. You kill the supply, even if some gets through, now it's outrageously expensive due to the scarcity of it. So even then, when you tackle the supply, you kind of kill the demand.
Mexico, which is one of my favorite series on Netflix ever. These are massive enterprises that are incredibly creative.
And shout out to Steph. She says, good night, Set and everyone. Tap the screen. Yes, guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen and like the video. Let's get more people in on here. And you can super chat in question, comment, jokes, or disagreements to be read out loud, just like my sis Seth down here. Well, or up there if you're watching vertical. And also, if you want to go ahead and double your donation, you can send it through Venmo. Every dollar counts as $2 counts as $4, and so on and so on. Shout out to Venmo.
And adept at finding new ways to deliver to American noses exactly what they want. And that's what we have to deal with in this country, because going, drugs are bad, okay? It has not been enough of a deterrent.
That's the I have to disagree. That is what makes this so different. It's not just saying drugs are bad. It's like, no, we realize the war on drugs was a failure. This is an actual literal, we're taking it to them. And especially since we're not talking about drugs anymore. We're talking about really one little fentanyl, like a kid going.
I mean, let's be real. We do go after drug users more than drug dealers. The main people who are a victim are the drugs users through the legal system and all that. But you know who scapegoats the legal system and all that good stuff? The drug dealers, or really mainly the cartel. I mean, your low-level drug dealers, they still get caught up. But let's be quite honest. The real victims are the users. And the thing is that they're the victims of their own habit. They become the victims of the legal system. They never find a real way out. And then they become in these drug programs where they're honestly just used for money.
And getting Coke or Xanax.
It's all fucked up.
That is not what that's not what we're talking. That's not recreational
partying
drugs.
It really is.
Drugs. This is basically homicide. You're killing hundreds of. Guy goes out, buys a Xanax off a friend, and he dies. That's not recreational drugs. That's murder. So I think it's a different thing than the way you portray it. And how dare you?
But I agree with you there, and that's what's so scary is kids have an appetite for doing things that are dangerous, that cross the line, that make their parents really upset. And it's like, I have a child in college, and it scares the crap out of me because this stuff is so incredibly pervasive, and it doesn't matter the lectures or how you raise them. It is a moment of curiosity. You're absolutely right. That takes someone's life, and I cannot tell you how many people I know who've either lost a family member to a fentanyl overdose. You know, a good friend of mine lost her stepson because he did cocaine for the first time that was laced with fentanyl, and those are the people who are dying.
Yes,
but it's still.
And it's sad because back in my day, we didn't have to worry about that. Look, usually when you like, I'm be real with you, back in my day, if you were trying cocaine, which I never tried, but I did try ecstasy and all that cool stuff, and Molly, I mean, that was always fun, but that was for partying. If those guys who did coke, those guys went always too far and never went to a good place. And I noticed that. That's why I never did coke myself, because I'm just like, bro, every guy I've seen did coke completely crashed out. Like, okay. So that's one thing I never had to worry about though. If they were doing coke, it was just coke. It wasn't fentanyl. There wasn't guys dying when I was going to college. There wasn't even guys dying when I was doing coke in high school, which is absolutely insane. But yes, there were people who did coke in my high school. But that's mainly was it. The problem was people doing coke. Not, now they're doing coke laced with fentanyl, so now it's gonna be it could be their first time and they die. That was unheard of me when I was in college and in high school.
And a curiosity and a form of rebellion that we have not gotten our heads around.
If I could, just before I go to Harold and Jesse, I'm just going to play this because in 1989, somebody that we used to see on TV periodically when he was at the White House, he said this in 1989, Joe Biden.
Let's go after the drug lords where they live with an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco-terrorists, and they must know it.
Isn't that the same policy?
Sort of. I agree with Kennedy. I hate to disagree with my pal at the end of the table, but I agree with you. You said it well, the appetite and curiosity. It has to be both. I don't have an issue at the same time of going after these narco-terrorists in these boats, but it would seem to me, DP, what might be better and to reconcile, I think, even what then Senator Biden was saying, maybe intercept these guys, find out who the big guys are behind them. They're not the ones, these guys in these little boats, I want to stop them, but they're not the guys that are behind these massive criminal enterprises that are flooding our country with these drugs. And we are kidding ourselves if we don't address what Kennedy so eloquently laid out. My kids are only 11 and 10, but you just don't know what they're going to touch or what's going to happen. You got to drill in them that appetite and that curiosity. We got to figure out how we stop that.
But you can do both.
You can do both.
You can do both. I know, but but I don't think this is necessarily the best way to do it.
So you can't do both.
No. The best way, no. When I say I don't think blowing up these boats, sure, some of them, but figure out who's behind all of this.
I think you could do that, and you could do what you're talking about. You can do three things.
You can do 4 or 5. I agree with you. I agree with you. Now, I will say this. I remember after Operation.
Because he's right. You can stop their boats, which is stopping their money, because you're effing up their money, which is going to F up how much operations they can do and how much things they can enforce within a lot of these countries. So let's stop the money line, which is the boats, which is their drug sales and human smuggling. And then let's also attack them at the same time. It's like we're attacking their money while also attacking personnel. Sadly, we have yet to attack personnel because that will require land strikes.
Night Hammer. There was a lot of media.
Top narco personnel.
Frenzy and speculation from the left and the right, and about what happened, how successful the mission was. And Secretary Hegseth and Lieutenant General Kane, who I think at the time they called him Raising Kane, might have been the Joint Chiefs already. They stood before the press corps and took a variety of questions. As I listened to Secretary Hegseth and President Trump and Ms. Leavitt and Admiral Bradley, they don't all seem to be on the same page over the last few days. DP would have a much better and smarter perspective on this than I do. But as I just listened to them, I think it would behoove the Secretary and this Admiral Bradley to stand before and answer some of these questions, the questions they can answer, so we can get some of the nonsense behind
You don't
this.
think they did that today?
They didn't do it publicly. They did it before the Senate.
Maybe but
all I'm saying is Lieutenant General Kane and Secretary, Hegseth and Kane went before the country and answered questions about Operation Midnight Hammer. Why can't they go before the country and the press and answer some of these questions.
Over. I mean,
it's a one-shot deal. This is an ongoing operation.
Go ahead,
The Iranian thing's an ongoing operation.
Not anymore.
I differ with you guys.
We blew it to smithereens. I agree with you. I disagree with you.
Why do you disagree?
Well, because you can deal with it on the demand side. We got to stop doing the cocaine, but you also have to take it to the supply side. But Harold, we've been interdicting these ships for 4 decades as it hasn't worked.
I know.
We've been having Coast Guard cutters go off into the Caribbean and Pacific and capture these boats. And do these guys ever sing to who's the boss? No, they don't do anything. And then we send them back or we lock them up and they escape.
Don't you remember Miami Vice?
We have to do something different. The argument the Democrats are making is we have to do the same thing we've been doing since 1980, which is treat this as a police action. And it hasn't worked. So now we're taking the fight to the enemy, and we can already tell it's working because Maduro's scared. He might leave to the Middle East. Mexico's shaking in their boots. They know that they could be next. And the Colombian guy's like on his last leg. So I like the policy, and it's not a controversial policy. You know Mark Thiessen, Dana? Yes. He did an interview today with the acting director of the Defense Intelligence Agency under Barack Hussein Obama. For 5 years, this guy was calling all the shots. This is what he said. At the heart of it, we use double taps all the time. I mean, some of them probably were injured, yet you hit him again. And it was something that had
Well, they do it all the time, and it is wild to hear that. But if that's standard operation, it is what it is, guys. And the thing is, I mean, hey, if the goal is to take out the boat plus personnel, well, I guess a double tide is warranted. As much as you want to call them what? Shipwreck sailors. I mean, they still are narco terrorists or narco terrorist collaborators.
Partisan support on Capitol Hill.
It looks bad, but it is what it is. But all right, guys, let's go to the pipe bomber. I mean, hey, man, this is your pipe bomber. Yes, the pipe bomber that they've been looking for years. This is our guy.
Of the Fox News Alert, we just got new pictures of the January 6th pipe bomb suspect, Brian Cole Jr., who was arrested after nearly 5 years. He's a 30-year-old black man, and unless you're watching CNN.
Oh, crap, man. This guy my age.
Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an...
Wait, what'd he say? What'd he say?
30-year-old black man, and unless you're watching CNN.
Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs.
Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man? Hey, nah, y'all ain't never tried to do white people like, come on, bro. Come on. Y'all were expecting this guy to be white. Y'all wanted this man to be white so bad, so bad. But he turned out to be a black guy. I know, right? A black guy. And you reported to the world that it was a white man. When you pulled up to this guy's house, a really nice house, by the way, the man lived in a really good neighborhood. You pulled up to this guy's house, figured out he's a black guy, but you reported that he's a white guy when the guy literally looks like this. Looks like that. Does that look like a white man to you in the slightest? Bro ain't even light skinned.
CNN.
Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device.
Why do they keep doing that? Anyway, senior national correspondent Kevin Cork is here with more details. Kevin.
Who's also not white. Evening, Jesse. This is obviously a very serious story. 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr. charged with transportation of an explosive device via interstate and also charged with attempted malicious destruction by means of an explosive device. That according to an arrest warrant in this particular case. Now, he was arrested at his home in Woodbridge, Virginia. That's about 35 miles from D.C. He also lives in that home with his mom and other family members. Now, according to an affidavit, Cole Jr.
All right, so he was living with mama? I thought bro was balling for a second. Because I ain't gonna lie, he nice little balling area. Like all these houses, big houses, nice cars. The man lives at the end of the cul-de-sac, bro. This looks like my aunt's. Hold on. Wait, where's this at? Okay, Virginia. Okay. I'd say it kind of looks like my aunt's neighborhood.
Purchased components that could have been used to make pipe bombs, including electrical wires, steel wool, battery connectors, even parts to close the end of a pipe.
And he was at his mom's crib. So apparently he came from an affluent background. Staying at mom's house. And I don't know what he was doing 2-3 years ago, but well, work-wise or education-wise, but Lord knows what we do know what he was doing. He was out there making pipe bombs and bringing it out to the January 6th protests to try to take out, what was it? I think it was key Democrat officials or just political officials altogether. Somebody correct me on that one.
Now, there are court papers out tonight. They also say that a cell phone tied to Cole pinged near cell towers near both the RNC and the DNC the night the bombs were placed.
We looked at 3 million lines of evidence. We went back and looked at the cell phone tower data dumps. We went back and looked at the providers and what information they provided pursuant to search warrants at the time, and asked questions such as, why weren't all the phone numbers scrubbed and why weren't they?
Now, you know what, the Dems, I hope nobody runs with this narrative that it was actually a white guy. Bro, if I hear any Dems say this is a white guy, bro, I'm gonna show this man's picture and be like, that man look white to you, because that's who did it. That is exactly who did it. So it's funny how they expected this guy to be white because they put him to a nice neighborhood, and they were like, which is kind of racist. It's a little racist how they assume that he was white. You know, you pull it to a nice neighborhood, nice cars on there. You know, you expect a white man, or you're racist. What? Black people can't live in big houses and have nice cars too? CNN, Jake Tapper, what's up with the racism, dog? Like, we can't live in nice places.
Connect
and make bombs too. Like, we're not smart. Well, we're not smart enough to make bombs as well. What you trying to say? Okay, I'll stop.
And why wasn't there any geolocational data done? Now, that is either sheer incompetence or complete intentional negligence, and neither of which is acceptable for this FBI.
Interestingly, Jesse, the FBI found even more bomb parts when they searched the home today, saying, quote, he was very into this. And you might find this interesting, too. Overall, agents interviewed, or rather visited, more than 1,200 homes and businesses. They conducted more than 1,000 interviews, looked at literally almost 40,000 video files, and took in more than 600 tips. But it was a new look at old information in the original case file that helped to break this open. It still begs the question, why didn't they get this done before now? Back to you.
Wow. They either didn't want to or they were incompetent.
Yeah.
Both troubling answers. Kevin, great to see you. Thank you.
All righty. And shout out to my man Hellbat. He says, something I just realized is that when a white person does something like this, they do it in the open, while a black person normally does it either in the dark or tries to fade into the background. I know, because for some reason, white crime just sticks out way more for some reason. Like, hey, man, when a white person does it, the news camera shows up. When a black person does it, man, destitute. Like, man, you see the little tumbleweed just roll across the crime scene.
You too.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page.
All right, now let's get into one of our, now I'm gonna be real, you're probably one of the most hated politicians right now on the right. Like, man, I mean, look, the right loves to hate this lady and will forever hate this lady, Ilhan Omar. I mean, she says some wild stuff. I mean,